Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Catherine and I talk about different topics. Of late I've been talking about true stories and this is one of them. I'm just gonna tell you. You see guys, this is one of the reasons that we are told don't do things just because everybody is doing them. Don't do things just because of pressure from the outside. See? You need to have your own stand. For example, are you getting married because people get married at a certain age, especially for men? Are you getting married because all your buddies are married? Or because your parents or relatives or old folks are pushing you? They need to see their grandchildren or something? Well, this is one of the reasons you're not supposed to do things, as I said, just because of pressure or just because everyone else peer pressure or things like that. This happened to one lady, and it's not the fault of the lady, this is the fault of the guy. This was a lecturer at a certain university in Nairobi. I will not mention the university. And she had been dating this guy for so many years. And they were very sure that they are ready to settle down, or at least she was sure that she was ready to settle down. And I think the guy from the other side was being pushed by the parents that yes, it's time for him to settle down and raise a family because every other guy at his age is doing so. So this guy went ahead and decided, fine, let's do it. So the guy set a wedding date. You know what goes on the wedding preparations, a lot of strays, ladies running up and down to get their garments, make sure that they look their best, to get the best of everything, at least for those who have the money. Excitement. They don't even sleep the night before. I know that because I've been one of the maids at the wedding. So, come the wedding day. The wedding day was set, and as usual, everybody knows when there is a wedding, of course, invitations are sent months before or even a year before for some people. So, the people who have been invited, special cards with the pictures of the bride and the groom, were all brought. Were all circulated, transportation for those coming from up country, everything. Reception venues, everything was fixed. And the church also had been chosen. Normally, during a wedding, it's the groom who waits for the bride at the church. Normally, the bride comes a little bit late. I don't know whether it's kind of a fashion or, maybe so that she doesn't look so desperate. But normally, at least in most of the weddings I've seen, I normally see like the brides come a little bit late, a little bit. And so this bride came a little bit late as usual, like about half an hour late. To her surprise, everybody seemed to be standing outside the church, like nothing seemed to be happening. It's like they'd been in the church and they were tired of sitting in the church. So all of them decided like they're going to stand outside to stretch their legs a bit, walk around a bit, because you know what? The groom had not even arrived. The groom had not arrived. The priest was ready. Everything else was there. The groom, his parents, his relatives were nowhere to be seen. But anyway, the lady thought that maybe she was a little bit earlier. Maybe she could have just waited a bit also and maybe come a little bit later. At least that was her wish. But that was not the case. That was not the case. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, phone calls to the groom. are not being picked, nor from any of the relatives of the groom. Nobody is picking the phone. So they had to contact the distant relatives of the groom who didn't know what was going on, what was transpiring, to call the groom family and find out what's happening. Could there have been an accident or something of the sort? Or could he have fallen sick and could not answer? Or what happened? Finally, somebody from the other end answered. And you know what the answer was? There is no wedding going to happen. A wedding is not going to happen. So he was so shocked and he was confused. He didn't know how he's gonna break this news to the groom, to the bride rather, who was there patiently waiting. The maids are fanning her because things are getting hot. You really don't know what's happening. For the ladies, this seems to be one of the best days for them, excitement, but for her, this seemed to be something else. A nightmare, an unfolding nightmare. Those nightmares that you dream, you're waiting at the altar and the groom doesn't show up, or the bride doesn't show up. This is why there is this song. Here comes the bride, don't try to run. This one managed to run. He managed to run, and up to this moment, this was like some 15 or 16 years ago it happened. Up to this moment, they've never known what became of their guy. He's never said, he's still alive, yes, but he's never said what happened, what transpired, why he cut off the wedding. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. You can imagine the lady has invited all her students because she was a lecturer at a very big university in Kenya. All the relatives, and of course, when you invite your students, they invite more people. So you can imagine how many thousands of people were there waiting for this big day. She invited all these people to see her being turned down on her wedding day. Being scorned on her wedding day. People, if you think things are not going right in your relation or you feel you're not ready for these things, don't go ahead and make these expensive arrangements only to duck off at the last minute. All I can remember, I think, is that the lady was collected in an ambulance. I think she could have collapsed. Yeah. And the members of her family just asked the guests to go ahead with the reception because who's gonna eat all this food? Who's gonna eat all this food? It's wasted. So the reception had to go on. But there was no waiting. There was no waiting. Don't do things just because everybody else is doing them, just because there is pressure. Nobody's going to be in your shoes when you're facing all these things alone, when you're not ready. They will push you to do things, but they will not be there when the trouble starts. They will not. This guy, maybe he made the right decision to duck, but he did it at the wrong time. He could have done it before the arrangement. A few months later, out of depression, the lady gained weight. Big weight. She used to be a slender lady, but within a few months, she gained weight because of stress, depression, all these things she had to go through, and the man had taken off without giving her the reason. Or maybe, who knows? Maybe he was giving her a reason, but she didn't want to hear because she's a lady and she knows that she has to get married by this time and she had to push the guy to do it. That's another thing. Don't do things because you are being pushed to do them or because everybody else is doing them. Do things when you're ready, both of you, if you have to. But good story. The lady now is happily married and is in the United States. She's enjoying her life in Maryland with her husband, and I think they have a few kids here and there. So whoever married her at the right time. So guys, if you like my content, like, share, and subscribe. Ciao. See you.